The sky darkened over New York City as the massive ship blocked the sun. People stopped in the streets and looked up. Car horns blared. Phones came out to record the moment humanity knew for sure they were not alone. "It's happening right now," whispered Amy Price as she stared at the live feed in the United Nations Security Council chamber. As the senior American diplomat, she had spent her career preparing for global crises, but not this. Never this. The alien ship had appeared in orbit 3 hours ago. Smaller craft had broken away and positioned themselves over major cities. World. Militaries were on high alert, but no one had fired a shot. Not yet. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said General Frank Daniels, his face grim. "They want to talk." President Morrison's voice came through on the conference line. "Ms. Price, you'll lead the contact team. Your diplomatic experience makes you our best option." Amy smoothed her blue blazer. "Yes, sir." Within the hour, the UN building was surrounded by police barriers as crowds gathered. News helicopters circled until the military ordered them to leave the airspace. A beam of light appeared from the craft hovering above the UN. It widened into a cylinder that touched down on the landing pad. From it emerged 3 tall figures with gray-blue skin. They walked on 2 legs but had 4 arms each. Their eyes were large and black, set in angular faces. Security teams watched nervously as Amy approached with her small team, including Dr. Lisa Murphy, Earth's leading xenobiologist and a military liaison. "Welcome to Earth," Amy said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I am Amy Price, representing the United Nations." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Lord Zaltharak, emissary of the Galactic Hegemony." His voice had a metallic quality, suggesting some kind of translation device. "We control 10,000 worlds across this spiral arm. Your planet has been observed for some time." Amy led them inside to the Security Council chamber, where representatives from major nations waited. The aliens seemed to study everything, their heads turning in odd, jerky movements. Lord Zaltharak stood at the center of the room. "The hegemony offers Earth a simple choice: join as a vassal state or face removal from this system." The room erupted in shouted questions and protests. "That's not a choice," Amy said. "That's a threat." "It is reality," Lord Zaltharak replied. "Your species has potential but requires guidance. Your resources and position are valuable. You will receive protection and limited self-governance in exchange for tribute and obedience." Dr. Murphy whispered to Amy. "They're displaying classic colonizer behavior. They see us as primitives." The Russian ambassador stood. "And if we refuse, then we will demonstrate our power," the alien said. "Your military technology is primitive. Resistance would be brief and final." The meeting continued for hours. Amy tried to establish common ground to find anything they might negotiate over. The aliens remained unmoved. As afternoon turned to evening, aides brought in coffee and sandwiches. Amy reached for her cup, not noticing how close it was to the edge of the table. Her elbow knocked it over, sending hot coffee directly onto Lord Zaltharak's ornate purple robes. The alien jumped up with a high-pitched screech. The other 2 aliens rushed to his side, making frantic gestures and clicking sounds. "I'm so sorry," Amy said, grabbing napkins. "Please, let me help." "Do not touch the emissary," one alien shouted. "This is a grave insult." "It was an accident," Amy insisted. Lord Zaltharak's black eyes narrowed. "The hegemony does not tolerate disrespect. You have made your choice clear." "Over." "Spilled coffee?" General Daniels asked in disbelief. The aliens moved toward the exit. Lord Zaltharak turned back. "You have 30 days before our armada arrives. Prepare yourselves for war." They vanished in the same beam of light that had delivered them. In the stunned silence that followed, Dr. Murphy approached Amy. "What just happened?" Amy stared at the coffee stain on the table. "I think I just started an interstellar war with a coffee spill." President Morrison's voice came through the speakers. "Get me every scientist, military expert, and out-of-the-box thinker we have. If they want war, we need to figure out how humanity fights an empire." General Daniels was already on his phone. "Doctor, is there anything you noticed about them? Any weakness?" Dr. Murphy looked thoughtful. They seemed extremely rigid, protocol-driven, and oddly sensitive to what we'd consider minor issues. That's something, Amy said. We have 30 days to work with something. The war room in the Pentagon basement buzzed with activity. 5 days had passed since the aliens left. Maps and screens covered the walls. Military officers talked in low voices while scientists argued over alien technology. Colonel John Baker walked in and everyone fell silent. His uniform was crisp, but dark circles under his eyes showed he hadn't slept much. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, we have 25 days until the hegemony fleet arrives. Our satellites have detected their ships gathering at the edge of our solar system. Traditional defense won't work against their technology. He pointed to a woman with wild red hair tied in a messy bun. This is Dr. Megan Pierce. She's the leading quantum physicist from MIT. Doctor, please explain your findings. Dr. Pierce stepped forward. She wore jeans under her lab coat and had a pencil stuck behind her ear. We studied the energy readings from their ships, she said. Their tech is advanced but follows predictable patterns. They rely on strict mathematical precision, no randomness, no chaos. She smiled. That might be their weakness. A man in the back raised his hand. How is that a weakness? I'm getting to that. This is why Colonel Baker brought in our unconventional thinkers. She gestured to 3 people sitting at the table. Colonel Baker introduced them. Steve Gomez, former hacker who now works in cybersecurity, Kate Miller, anthropologist who studies communication between different cultures, and Doug Carter, who writes comedy. General Daniels frowned. We're facing alien invaders and you recruited a comedian? Doug shrugged. You need outside the box thinking, right? That's what I do. Kate Miller opened her laptop. We've analyzed the recordings of the meeting with the aliens. Their language, posture, and reactions show they're extremely protocol-driven. The coffee spill wasn't just an accident. It was an offense against their rigid social rules. Steve Gomez nodded. I've been studying their communication signals. Everything is structured, organized by strict patterns. No variation, no improvisation. So what does this mean for us? Asked Amy Price, who had been quiet until now. Dr. Pierce grinned. It means we might have an advantage they don't expect. Doug. Carter stood up. What if we don't respond the way they expect? What if instead of preparing for a traditional war we confuse them? The room went quiet. Explain, Colonel Baker said. They expect fear, panic, maybe a desperate military response, Doug said. What if we respond with absurdity? Complete unpredictability. If they can't handle a coffee spill, how would they handle real chaos? Kate nodded excitedly. From an anthropological perspective, this makes sense. Many rigid cultures collapse when faced with situations outside their experience. Steve tapped on his tablet. I could create digital confusion, random signals, contradictory messages. General Daniels looked skeptical. You want to fight an alien empire with jokes? Not jokes, Dr. Pierce said. Cognitive disruption. Their rigid thinking is actually a vulnerability. Colonel Baker was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. Operation Cosmic Confusion. I like it. He turned to the screens, showing satellite images of the alien ships. We have limited time. I want teams, working on 3 fronts. First, Dr. Pierce and her science team will analyze alien tech for physical vulnerabilities. Second, Steve and Kate will develop communication strategies to confuse their command structure. Third, Doug will lead a team to create visible demonstrations of unpredictability. Amy Price looked worried. The United Nations won't approve this. The UN will be informed, Colonel Baker said. But we need to move fast. If we're going to survive, we need to become the most confusing target the hegemony has ever faced. Dr. Pierce pulled up images of the alien ambassador. Their expressions, their movements, everything suggests beings who thrive on order and protocol. What happens to a species like that when nothing makes sense anymore? Let's find out, Colonel Baker said. Team, you have your assignments. We're not just fighting for Earth now. We're fighting to expand their minds. As the team dispersed, Doug Carter grinned at Amy. Don't worry. Sometimes the best defense is a good punchline. 15 days before the hegemony fleet was set to arrive, Earth made its first move. All radio telescopes, satellite dishes, and communication arrays pointed to the stars and broadcast the same message. To the galactic hegemony. We accept your war and raise you one surrealist art exhibit. Formal dress required. Colonel Baker stood in NASA's main control room as the message went out in 47 languages, plus a mathematical sequence Dr. Pierce had created based on the aliens' own communication patterns. Are we sure about this? General, Daniels asked. He looked uncomfortable in his freshly pressed uniform. No, Colonel Baker admitted, but being predictable hasn't worked for anyone else the hegemony has conquered. On the main screen, Steve Gomez monitored the transmission. Message sent. Now for Phase 2. Phase 2 was already underway. In orbit, astronauts had deployed special, reflective panels that, when viewed from approaching ships, formed a giant smiley face. The Chinese space station crew had released thousands of colorful metallic balloons that arranged themselves in impossible geometric patterns. The European Space Agency had reprogrammed their satellites to move in dance-like sequences, completely illogical but somehow beautiful. The scout ships have entered lunar orbit, a technician announced. They're scanning us. Everyone watched the screens as small alien crafts approached Earth. They moved cautiously, as if unsure what to expect. They're receiving our broadcasts, Steve confirmed, and they're confused. Their communication patterns are showing irregularities. In the alien scout ship, Commander Zrekvor stared at the readings. His forearms moved quickly over the control panels. This cannot be correct, he said to his crew. The humans appear to be celebrating our arrival. His second-in-command looked equally puzzled. The patterns on their moon, the orbital arrangements, these are not defensive preparations. Their transmission makes no sense, another crew member said. What is a surrealist art exhibit? Commander Zrekvor's training had not prepared him for this. Send a report to the main fleet. We require guidance. Back on Earth in a warehouse outside Washington, D.C., Doug Carter supervised the preparation of the diplomatic package. Teams worked to fill a capsule with items selected specifically to confuse the alien mind. Amy Price watched as they packed a rubber chicken, instructions for 27 different party games, a formal invitation printed on scented paper, and a book of human jokes with deliberately poor translations. This is crazy, she said. But I guess that's the point. Kate Miller stood beside her, checking items off a list. From an anthropological perspective, humor and absurdity are uniquely human traits. Most species develop a sense of humor only after they've mastered irony and abstraction. So we're betting the aliens can't take a joke? We're betting they've never had to, Kate replied. Rigid hierarchies like the hegemony usually suppress humor. It's too unpredictable, too dangerous to power structures. The package was loaded onto a small rocket. Within hours, it would be on its way to the alien scout ships. At the United Nations, world leaders received updates on the plan. Some were skeptical, others desperate enough to try anything, but all agreed. Traditional warfare against the hegemony would be suicide. In orbit, Commander Zrekvor received new orders from Grand Admiral Drevkara, leader of the main fleet. Maintain position. Analyze human behavior. Determine if this is a primitive defense mechanism or a form of psychological warfare. The commander's reply was hesitant. With respect, Admiral, I cannot determine which it is. Their behavior follows no logical pattern. The Grand Admiral's response came quickly. Then we face something new. Proceed with caution. The main fleet approaches. As Earth's small rocket launched toward the scout ships, Dr. Pierce monitored. Alien communications. They're getting frustrated, she said with a smile. They keep trying to categorize our actions within their existing frameworks, but nothing fits. Colonel Baker nodded. Good. Confusion was Phase 1. Now for Phase 2, escalation. Doug Carter grinned. I hope they like bubble wrap. Everyone likes bubble wrap. The massive hegemony main fleet arrived 7 days before their deadline. Hundreds of ships appeared beyond the moon's orbit. Their formation was perfect, like a giant arrow pointed at Earth. Grand Admiral Drev Kara stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth grow larger on the main view screen. He had conquered 17 planets in his career. None had ever given him trouble. "Status report," he commanded. His officer paused before answering. "Unusual, Admiral. The humans continue their strange activities. They are not preparing traditional defenses." "Explain," Drev Kara demanded. "They are broadcasting all their planet's television signals at once. Thousands of images. No pattern. Our analysts cannot determine their purpose." The Admiral frowned. "Show me." The screen filled with a chaotic mix of human broadcasts. Cooking, shows next to sports games, news reports beside cartoon animals, music videos alongside documentaries about sea creatures. "This is their response to our warfleet?" Drev Kara asked in disbelief. Before his officer could answer, another alert sounded. "Admiral, the humans are moving their ground vehicles. Military units in major cities are what?" Drev Kara snapped. "They are painting their vehicles in bright colors and arranging them in patterns that match images from their entertainment broadcasts." The officer displayed images from Earth's surface, showing tanks and armored vehicles arranged to form what humans called memes. Drev Kara's forearms tightened at his sides. "This is a trick, a distraction from their real defense. We detect no energy weapons being prepared, Admiral. Their militaries appear to be participating in these displays." The Admiral slammed his fist on the console. "Prepare the first wave, target their military installations." "Admiral," another officer interrupted. "We're detecting a small object approaching. It appears to be playing human music." A small probe passed near the fleet, its speakers blasting songs from the 1980s. The crew stared in confusion. In the Pentagon War Room, Colonel Baker watched the alien fleet through satellite feeds. "They've detected our probe," Steve Gomez confirmed, "and they're picking up our worldwide broadcast." Dr. Pierce studied readings from the alien ships. "Their communication patterns are becoming erratic. They can't make sense of what we're doing." "Time for Phase 3, Colonel Baker said. "Lieutenant Wright, initiate Operation Rubber Duck." Alan Wright, a tactical communications officer, grinned as he pressed a button on his console. "Rubber ducks away, sir." Across all frequencies used by the alien fleet, a single sound began to play, the squeak of rubber ducks, thousands of them, at random intervals with no pattern. On the Hegemony flagship, communication officers ripped off their headsets as the squeaking invaded every channel. "What is this?" Drev Kara demanded. "Unknown, Admiral, we cannot block it. It follows no pattern we can predict." Drev Kara tried to remain calm. "Proceed with the attack formation. Target their largest military base first." But as his ships tried to move into attack position, they faced a new problem. Earth's small defensive fleet, a mix of space shuttles and primitive military satellites, began moving in completely random patterns. They zigzagged, spun, and changed direction with no apparent logic. "Weapons lock failing," the tactical officer reported. "Their movements follow no predictable trajectory." "Impossible," Drev Kara said. "They are primitive vessels." "Yes, Admiral, but they move as if piloted by the insane. In fact, the Earth vessels were being piloted by video game champions, selected for their ability to think unpredictably and react in ways no computer could anticipate. At NASA control, gamers with modified flight controls whooped and cheered as they dodged alien targeting systems. "The alien weapons are powerful but slow to adjust," Colonel Baker told the president over a secure line. "Our pilots are staying just ahead of their targeting computers." "How long can this work?" the president asked. "Not long enough," Colonel Baker admitted. "But we only need to buy time for Phase 4. Dr. Pierce looked up from her instruments. "The Hegemony fleet is showing signs of command structure stress. Their perfect formation is breaking down as ships try to adapt individually." On the main screen, they watched as the alien arrow formation began to lose shape, individual ships breaking formation to chase Earth's erratic defenders. "Is it working?" Amy Price asked as she joined them. "So far," Colonel Baker said. "But Grand Admiral Drev Kara won't be confused forever. We need the diplomatic team ready." Amy nodded. Dr. Collins and her team are prepared. They're just waiting for the final touch. What's that? Colonel Baker asked. Amy smiled. Bubble wrap. Lots of bubble wrap. Dr. Linda Collins adjusted her blue suit jacket as the small diplomatic shuttle approached the Hegemony flagship. Through the window, she could see the massive alien vessel. It was beautiful in a cold, geometric way. Remember, she told her team, act completely confident, show no fear. Beside her, tech specialist Eric Martinez nodded as he checked his tablet one last time. The translation program is ready, and I've reviewed all the data on their communication systems. The third member of their team, cultural specialist Peter Ross, looked nervous as he clutched a large silver case. Are we sure about bringing these gifts? Dr. Collins smiled. Absolutely sure. Colonel Baker and the team analyzed every aspect of hegemony psychology we could access. They value protocol and clear hierarchies. When those break down, so do they. Their shuttle docked with the alien flagship. The door opened to reveal 4 armed guards with their weapons ready. Behind them stood a tall alien in a decorated uniform. I am Sub-Commander Trelvok, the alien said through a translator device. You will follow me to Grand Admiral Drevkara. The humans smiled brightly and followed without showing any concern about the weapons pointed at their backs. They were led through long corridors with perfect symmetry. Everything was organized with mathematical precision. No decorations, no personal touches, just function and order. Grand Admiral Drevkara waited in a large meeting room. He stood rigidly, all 4 arms behind his back, his black eyes studying the humans carefully. You requested this meeting, he said. Speak your purpose. Dr. Collins stepped forward with a wide smile. Grand Admiral, we bring greetings from Earth. And gifts. She gestured to Peter, who opened the silver case. Inside were snow globes showing famous Earth landmarks, sheets of bubble wrap, and a book labeled Earth's Best Dad Jokes. The alien stared in confusion. These items have no strategic value, Drevkara said. Oh, but they do. Dr. Collins picked up a snow globe and shook it, sending fake snow swirling around a tiny Eiffel Tower. This demonstrates our weather control technology. The Admiral frowned. That is a primitive decoration. Is it? Dr. Collins handed it to him. After a moment of hesitation, he took it with one of his lower arms. While Drevkara examined the snow globe, Dr. Collins continued. We understand that your empire expects our surrender. Instead, we propose alternate peace conditions. She unrolled a scroll and read, First, Earth and the Hegemony will hold annual interspecies dance competitions. Second, all member worlds must exchange regional recipes quarterly. Third, we establish an interstellar holiday called Prank Day, where practical jokes are not just allowed but required. The alien officers looked at each other in confusion. These are not serious terms, Drevkara said. We are very serious. Dr. Collins replied without a hint of humor. Additionally, we require bubble wrap on all diplomatic packages. She handed him a sheet of bubble wrap. Please test its quality. Looking bewildered, the Admiral pressed one bubble, creating a small pop. His eyes widened slightly. Meanwhile, Eric Martinez had approached a computer terminal. Fascinating system, he said casually. May I? Before the aliens could object, he pulled out his tablet and connected it to their console. The aliens moved to stop him, but were distracted when Dr. Collins started popping more bubble wrap. This is a primitive entertainment device, Drevkara said, but he popped another bubble. Exactly, Dr. Collins said. Just like your computer systems. Eric looked up. I've successfully connected our systems to yours. This should be impossible according to your technology level assessments, but human innovation works differently than hegemony logic. The aliens rushed to the terminal, but Eric had already completed his work. On the screens around the room, Earth memes began to appear, replacing the military displays. What have you done? Drevkara demanded. Cultural exchange, Eric said with a shrug. Nothing harmful, Just sharing. Dr. Collins smiled. We've prepared a special gift to leave with you. She handed Drevkara a small box. Please open it once we've departed. The Admiral seemed relieved that the humans were leaving. You will be escorted back to your vessel. As they walked back to their shuttle, Peter whispered, Do you think it worked? Look at their faces, Dr. Collins said. They're completely off balance, and once they open that box, back on the shuttle, they watched the flagship through the windows. Moments after their departure, tiny, colorful objects began shooting out from various ports and windows of the alien vessel. Biodegradable confetti, Eric said with a grin. Designed to spread throughout their air circulation system when the box is opened. Dr. Collins nodded. Phase 4 complete. Let's report back to Colonel Baker. 3 days after the diplomatic visit, strange reports began coming in from the hegemony fleet. Colonel Baker and his team gathered in the war room to review the latest intelligence. Something is happening on their ships, Steve Gomez said, pointing to satellite images. Their formation is breaking down further. Communications between vessels have dropped by 60%. Dr. Pierce studied the data on her screen. The rigid command structure is fracturing. Look at these energy readings, completely irregular. Now, Kate Miller had been monitoring intercepted alien communications. Their language patterns are changing. Lower-ranking crew members are using casual speech forms. Some are even attempting jokes. Jokes? General Daniels asked in disbelief. Bad ones, Kate said with a smile. But yes, actual attempts at humor. It gets better, Amy Price added. 3 of their scout ships have changed course. They're no longer in military formation. Colonel Baker leaned forward. Where are they going? That's the interesting part, Amy replied. One appears to be orbiting Earth at a distance, broadcasting requests for more human television shows. Everyone looked at each other in stunned silence. It worked? General Daniels finally asked. They're becoming interested in our culture? Not just interested, Doug Carter said. They're becoming fans. On the main view screen, satellite images showed one of the smaller alien vessels. It had painted a crude, smiley face on its hull. Inside the hegemony flagship, chaos was spreading. Colorful confetti still floated through air vents. Junior officers had begun wearing the strange bubble wrap material as decorations on their uniforms. The human memes remained stuck in the computer system, appearing at random intervals on screens throughout the ship. Grand Admiral Drevkara stormed onto the bridge. Status report, he demanded. His communication officer hesitated. Sir, we're facing difficulties. Explain. 3 scout ships have broken formation. One is requesting permission to study human cooking techniques. The crew claims human food shows reveal advanced flavor technology. Drevkara's face darkened. Deny permission and order them back to formation. We tried, sir, they responded, with something called a meme, and continue their current course. Another officer approached cautiously. Admiral, we're detecting unusual behavior throughout the fleet. Lower deck crew members are engaging in non-regulation activities. What activities? The officer seemed embarrassed. They're playing with their food, sir, creating patterns before eating. Others are making noise for no tactical purpose. Noise? They call it humming songs from human broadcasts. Drevkara slammed all 4 hands on the command console. This is mutiny. Lock down all non-essential systems. Block all human transmissions. We've tried, sir, the technology officer replied. But each time we block one frequency, they switch to another. Their patterns are too unpredictable to create effective filters. Admiral, his second-in-command said quietly, perhaps we should consider the humans' peace offer. The crew is curious about them. Curious? Drevkara hissed. The hegemony does not feel curiosity. We conquer. We control. Yes, sir, but... The officer stopped as several junior crew members entered the bridge wearing small bits of colorful confetti on their uniforms. They quickly removed the decorations when they saw the Admiral, but the damage was done. This contamination is spreading, Drevkara said. Prepare my personal shuttle. I must report to the Hegemony Council immediately. As the Admiral left the bridge, his second-in-command quietly opened a file on his console. It contained dozens of human jokes he had been collecting. Back on Earth, Colonel Baker received word that Grand Admiral Drevkara was leaving the fleet. He's running back to his superiors, Dr. Pierce said. The rigid hierarchy is crumbling from the bottom up. What about the rest of the fleet? Colonel Baker asked. Steve checked his monitors. Still in orbit, but weapon systems are powering down on several ships. And you won't believe this. One of them is broadcasting a request to learn about something called Casual Fridays. Amy Price laughed. Should we tell them about weekend pajama parties too? For the first time in weeks, hope spread through the war room. Operation Cosmic Confusion wasn't just working, it was exceeding all expectations. Prepare, Phase 5, Colonel Baker said. It's time to take our case directly to the Hegemony Council. The Hegemony Council chamber was a perfect circle. 12 high seats rose around the walls, each occupied by a senior council member. The chamber had no decorations, no art, nothing but functional design and perfect symmetry. Grand Admiral Drevkara stood in the center, finishing his report on the Earth situation. And so, wise council, I recommend immediate approval for planet-wide suppression. The humans are dangerous in ways we did not anticipate. High Counselor Belma Rith leaned forward. Unlike most Hegemony officials, she had 6 arms instead of 4, a sign of her ancient lineage. Dangerous how, Admiral? They have no weapons that can harm our fleet. Their danger is not in weapons, Drevkara replied. It is in ideas. They spread chaos, unpredictability. They corrupt our crews with concepts like humor and creativity. 3 ships have already broken formation to study human culture. Council member Tralgevet, known for his hardline views, pounded his fist. This proves my point. These humans threaten everything we value. Order, hierarchy, predictability. They must be eliminated before their influence spreads. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some councilors supported immediate action against Earth. Others worried about the strange reports coming from the fleet. May I ask? Belmarith said, when the noise died down. What exactly happened when you delivered our ultimatum? Drevkara shifted uncomfortably. They spilled a brown liquid on Ambassador Zalthurak's ceremonial robes, and this was a deliberate insult? It must have been. No species would accidentally disrespect a hegemony representative. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. Actually, we spill things all the time. We're kind of clumsy that way. Every alien head turned. A human woman in a simple blue dress walked calmly into the council chamber. She carried a tray with cups and a steaming pot. Who are you? Tralgevet demanded. How did you enter this secure chamber? I'm Olivia Harris, Earth's ambassador, she said with a pleasant smile. As for how I got in, your security is very organized and predictable. It was easy to walk right past them. Coffee, anyone? The council stared in shock as she poured a brown liquid into cups. This is outrageous. Drevkara shouted. Guards! But no guards appeared. They're busy watching cat videos, Olivia explained. Apparently your species has never seen small furry animals doing cute things. They're quite fascinated. Belmarith studied the human with interest. You show no fear standing before the council that could order your planet's destruction. Should I be afraid? Olivia asked, offering her a cup. Try the coffee, it's better than the one we spilled on your ambassador. After a moment's hesitation, Belmarith took the cup with one of her 6 arms. High Counselor, Tralgevet protested. This could be poison? If Earth wanted war, Olivia said, we wouldn't use poison. We'd just keep sending rubber chickens and dad jokes until your entire empire collapsed in confusion. She placed her tray on the floor and pulled out a small device. With a touch, it projected images around the chamber. Earth's oceans, mountains, cities, and people. We don't want to fight you. We want to know you. Trade with you. Maybe teach you to relax a little. Impossible, Tralgevet said. The hegemony does not change its ways for lesser species. Then the hegemony will fall, Olivia said simply. Because change is the only constant in the universe. She showed new images. 3 alien species the Council had never seen before. These are our new friends from beyond your borders. They were afraid of you until we showed them that the mighty hegemony could be confused by bubble wrap. The Council. Chamber fell silent. Belmarith sipped the coffee, her eyes widening slightly at the taste. This is interesting. Just wait until you try ice cream, Olivia said with a wink. Tralgevet stood up. This human speaks of rebellion, of undermining our authority. I speak of evolution, Olivia corrected. Your empire has conquered through fear and rigid control. But there's another way. Cooperation, cultural exchange, mutual growth. She turned to face each council member. You can continue your war against us. But understand this. Earth has already won. Your fleet is watching. Our television, your crews are telling jokes. The only question now is whether the hegemony will adapt or break. Belmarith looked at her fellow council members. For the first time in the hegemony's long history, the outcome of a council vote was completely unpredictable. 3 months after the Hegemony Council meeting, the grand ceremony took place in orbit around Earth. A massive space station, built with combined human and alien technology, hosted representatives from 27 worlds. Colonel John Baker adjusted his dress uniform as he looked out the viewport at Earth below. The blue planet seemed peaceful from this distance. Still can't believe it worked, General Daniel said, joining him at the window. Neither can they, Baker replied, nodding toward a group of hegemony officials speaking with human diplomats. The ceremony hall was decorated with symbols from all participating worlds. Humans had added colorful streamers and balloons, which had initially confused the aliens but now seemed to delight them. President Ryan Scott stood at the center of the hall with High Counselor Belmarith. Together they signed the official document ending hostilities and establishing the Interstellar Cooperation Initiative. Not the most exciting name, Doug Carter whispered to Amy Price. I voted for Galactic Party Pals, but apparently that wasn't dignified enough. Amy suppressed a laugh. After nearly starting a war with spilled coffee, I'm just happy we're here at all. Across the room, Dr. Megan Pierce was deep in conversation with alien scientists. They huddled around a holographic display showing a new technology that combined Earth's chaotic creativity with hegemony, precision engineering. The principles are sound, she explained. By introducing controlled randomness into your power systems, we can increase efficiency by 23%. The alien scientists looked skeptical but intrigued, an expression that was becoming common throughout the former empire. Kate Miller and Steve Gomez mingled with visitors from the newly independent worlds that had broken away from hegemony, control. These species had lived under rigid rule for centuries but were now experimenting with new forms of government. The transition isn't easy, a tall reptilian alien told them. But watching Earth stand up to the hegemony with jokes instead of weapons gave us courage. Near the refreshment table, Dr. Linda Collins tried to explain ice cream to a group of fascinated aliens, so it's cold soup made from animal secretions and plant extracts, one asked. Close enough, she said, just try it. The ceremony reached its highlight when Colonel Baker and his team received medals for exemplary weirdness in defense of Earth. The medals, designed by both humans and aliens, featured a rubber chicken and a mathematical formula intertwined. Former Grand Admiral Drevkara, now serving as a diplomatic liaison, approached Baker after the ceremony. I still don't understand how you knew it would work, he said. His formal uniform had been replaced with a simpler outfit, and he wore a small earth pin on his collar. We didn't, Baker admitted. We just knew that doing the expected wouldn't work. Sometimes the best defense is being completely unpredictable. Drevkara nodded slowly. In my 300 years of military service, I conquered 17 worlds, with traditional warfare. None ever thought to respond with bubble wrap. President Scott joined them, champagne glass in hand. Admiral, will you join us for the dance portion of the evening? My understanding is that dancing was forbidden in the hegemony. It was considered chaotic and without purpose, Drevkara confirmed. Perfect, the president said with a smile. Then you'll fit right in with humanity. 1 year later, the first Galactic Cultural Festival opened in Earth orbit. Millions of visitors from across known space came to experience the mixing of ideas, arts, and sciences from dozens of worlds. The centerpiece was a massive sculpture created by artists from all participating planets. It depicted a coffee cup, a rubber chicken, and a piece of bubble wrap, the unlikely weapons that had defeated an empire. In her new role as interspecies ambassador, Olivia Harris gave tours to important visitors. When they reached the sculpture, she always told the same story. "We thought they were declaring war on a primitive world," she would say. Instead, they accidentally liberated their own empire. On the final night of the festival, humans taught aliens the chicken dance. Watching thousands of multi-limbed beings flapping their arms in joyful chaos, Dr. Pierce leaned toward Colonel Baker. "Do you think they'll ever truly understand us?" she asked. Baker smiled as he watched former Grand Admiral Drevkara awkwardly attempting the dance with all four arms. "No," he said, "and that's exactly why this works."